This is Todd McShay. On the latest First Draft podcast, Mel Kiper Jr. and I wonder if Johnny Manziel will make the Browns shy away from taking another quarterback. Plus, we chat with top quarterback prospect Carson Wentz. So come subscribe in the Listen tab on the ESPN app.
The topics are hot. The discussion is heated. And we're on fire. The First Take podcast starts now.
Let's start the session. Mars links the competition, balls by that action. You can never debate it. This is actual fact. Stephen A. with the flavor, baby. I skip through a track. I'm like, say what? Say what? What's up with all my haters? I'm a ball when I perform. So my jersey's in the air. I'm allergic to my haters. Every morning I prepare. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, stop me. 4 takes, that's you. 3 takes, not me. 2 takes if you lucky. First take, you got me.
For being here with us. We so appreciate you. Getting us hype and ready to go. Skip Bayless, he's always ready. And Stephen A. Smith.
How are you?
What's going on?
I got to tell you, I got no chance against that ensemble you're wearing today. That is sharp. It is going to blow me off my chair the rest of the day. I got no shot.
Setting you up.
It's a big setup.
Well, listen, I do appreciate it, but I don't get caught up in that because when it comes to the wardrobe, I think I got it every day. It's just me. It's just me.
Well then.
But I do appreciate the compliment, and you look pretty dapper yourself.
I look all right.
You guys are so cute.
And by the way, I stayed yesterday and spoke to a bunch of people here who had driven from all over California and are now all over the West Coast. Thank you all for coming out here so early. Thank you.
You know, we had someone come all the way from Australia as well, so we're worldwide, just like Stephen A's radio show, right?
Well, I think I'm worldwide on my radio show, but that's just me.
Okay, worldwide, right. Stephen A. Smith. Guess who else is here? He's certainly worldwide. Primetime in the house. Deion Sanders will be with us for a full hour.
Yeah.
You know I'm a big fan. I can't wait for that.
I'm not sure he's ready for this prime time.
He's ready.
Though. Is he?
He's ready.
Okay.
Prime time.
I think he can hang with you, too.
Well,
maybe he's someone that can actually hang, Skip.
He's a bad man, but I would agree with Skip. He does have something to prove. He's really great after hours. What do you do during the hour?
Yes.
Deion,
daylight
I believe in you, and we know you got to believe in yourself first, right? All right, gentlemen, let's get into it. The reason why we traveled cross country. Super Bowl 50. So Sunday, Cam Newton will be looking for his first Lombardi Trophy. Peyton will be making his 4th trip to the Super Bowl and trying to get a 2nd ring. Stephen A., Super Bowl 50 from Santa Clara. Who you got?
I got the Carolina Panthers winning the Super Bowl. Listen, I want to say this. I don't expect it to be a 43-8 drubbing at the hand like they suffered at the hands of the Seattle Seahawks 2 years ago. I'm talking about the Denver Broncos. But I do think about that game as it pertains to this one because I think the similarities between the Legion of Boom 2 years ago and what we're seeing from the Carolina Panthers this year are somewhat similar. Not entirely, but the similarities are there. I think that Carolina has a stout defense, 6th overall. I think they've got an elite front 7. I think they can get at a quarterback, particularly a stationary one like Peyton Manning. I think the fact that you've got a guy like Owen Daniels playing as your tight end who's played well, but Vernon Davis, who hasn't had a reception in the last 4 games for crying out loud. I think the fact that you got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas.
Wait, he left his hands in San Francisco.
He left his hands in San Francisco.
Yeah, okay.
Not as hard, his hands. Vernon Davis left his hands in San Francisco. Yes, I've said that on many occasions. But I think that in order for you to beat the Carolina Panthers, it's going to have to be a combo assault. You're not just going to require C.J. Anderson and Ronnie Hillman, both averaging over 4 yards a carry this season, capable runners, but very relatively inconsistent because of their troubles at the offensive line. Not only do they have to run the football effectively, but that's going to utilize them using play action, which will allow Peyton Manning to throw pretty much outside the numbers between Demaryius Thomas and Emmanuel Sanders. I think the combination of those two things happening against this Carolina defense are slim. Now, obviously, you've got Denver's defense, who's capable of causing just as much trouble for the Carolina Panthers. I get that. And when you look at Jonathan Stewart, even though he's big time, I think the brother could play. He's no Le'Veon Bell or somebody like that. He's a pretty damn good runner, but I wouldn't call him elite. The Cam Newton obviously buffers that running game to a significant degree. Denver's going to send Von Miller after him. He's going to be all over the place. DeMarcus Ware, Malik Jackson, Derek Wolfe. These boys are no joke. And this secondary in Denver is no joke. So obviously their defense, 4th overall, number 1 in yards allowed, number 1 against the pass, number 3 against the rush. They can't be diminished. But in the end, that speaks to a tight game, which I understand because the experience comes into play, and it comes and you just assume it's going to be somewhat of a defensive battle. But in the end, it's going to come down to what are you going to do with Cam Newton? Does any of us see the guy that we've been watching all season long get completely neutralized and stopped on the biggest stage, which is where he has customarily shined? I don't see that happening. Somehow, some way. First of all, I don't think it'll be, I don't think it'll be that much of a defensive battle. I think, Carolina will have a lead somewhere along the lines of like 24-21, and then they'll score a touchdown later on. I see the final score being 31-21. Carolina wins by 10 games. Wow. They captured Super Bowl 50. Right. Cam Newton captures his first Super Bowl championship.
Let's put it on the board. You have someone to put it on the board for you?
Yes. That's right. Listen. Who just says put it on the board for me? I wrote it down here. Is it Michael? Is this Michael? Is this Michael?
Yeah. Michael,
there you go.
Your business
put it up there for me, please.
Yep.
By the way,
Panther. Look at that headshot.
I apologize.
That's a beauty.
I apologize to my producers. I messed all of that up. He was supposed to do that before I did.
You're all good.
So I messed up, y'all.
I'm not going to mess my pick up. I'm not going to beat around the bush. I'm not going to give you any pump fakes or any sleight of hand. I want Adriana from Seattle, who drove all night to be here, to get in position to put my pick up for me, and she is decked out boldly and beautifully in my Spurs colors. Look at that. Oh, shut up, all of you. Yeah, way to go, Adriana. Put it on the board for me. I want Carolina.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Spurs, America's team.
And by the way, Molly is going to attest to this for me. What score did I write right there? Can you see that?
31-20.
He went 31-21. I got 31-20. So forgive me, I'm off by a point from your score. And here's why that I feel so confident about this. I've told you guys all along, this is the year of Cam. And also, this is the year of the Carolina Panthers getting on a classic late-season Super Bowl roll, unlike many I've ever seen. It's Chicago. We saw the Chicago Bears last night, 30-for-30, the 85 Bears. This is akin to that kind of Super Bowl roll where you are virtually invincible at the right place at the right time. They are going to roll, I think, fairly easily over the Denver Broncos. I think Peyton Manning will play pretty well. I think he'll play about as well as he can at this stage and age of his game. I think he's going to put up 20 points, and you'll sit back and say, you know what? The old man, he gave a good account of himself. But I don't think Peyton at his greatest, in his prime, could beat this team on this stage at this moment. I don't even think it'll be close at 31-20. I think maybe Peyton will score a late touchdown to get from 31-13 up to 31-20. So I'm not with your 24-21 close game. I don't see a close game, and here's why. I believe that Cam and company are as bad a matchup for this Denver defense as Brady and company were the perfect matchup for this Denver defense. What did I tell you sitting in this, not exactly the same chair, but in this seat ahead of New England at Denver in the AFC title game. What did I tell you? That if I hadn't picked New England back in August to win the Super Bowl, I would have picked Denver to win that game because it was such a great matchup for this Denver defense against, can I remind you, a Tom Brady with zero running game to keep the pass rush honest. Am I right about that? Did I not say that?
You did say that.
And did I not say that Tom Brady was quote-unquote protected by a battered patchwork offensive line? Did I not say that?
Because the Golden Boy obviously had a lot to deal with your guy, Tom Brady. I mean, my goodness. What he had to deal with is just such a shame. Go ahead.
And obviously, my guy, Tom Brady, is immobile in the pocket. I mean, he can dance a little bit, as you say.
He can tap dance.
Yeah.
He can tap dance.
But again, let's just say this. He ain't no mobile Cam Newton, right?
Right.
So my point was that combination was going to be big trouble for my New England Patriots. And all of a sudden, we had the two best edge rushers in pro football, Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. On your mark, get set, go! Mm-hmm. The crowd was so loud they couldn't hear the snap count, so they were just snapping it on rhythm, and they're like, ready, set, go! Race to the quarterback, knock him down. Tom Brady went down 20 times. He got knocked down 20 times in that game, which was the highest number of knockdowns for any quarterback in any game this year, by any defense.
Right.
Well, that's staggering to me. Mm-hmm. And yet, despite all that, I must throw this in, my guy Tom Brady almost pulled the game out. He came within a 2-point conversion of pulling the game out against all those odds.
I'm so touched.
Okay, well, I had to make that point.
Go ahead.
Okay, now, that was 20-18. Mm-hmm. Cam Newton is a very, very different beast, as is this Carolina run game that will keep those two pass rushers completely honest. In fact, this Carolina run game is so devastating that the pass rushers, to me, are swivel-headed the whole game. They're on skates because they don't know what's coming next. Cam Newton obviously runs the read option, which makes the pass rushers say, uh-oh, can I go or can I stay? Should I guard the edge or not? Is he going to keep the ball or not? They run that jet sweep motion constantly throughout the game with Ted Ginn Jr., who I say is as fast as anyone wearing pads right now. Again, he'll drop some deep balls, but if you ever hand it to him on the jet sweep, look out below because he can get loose as fast as anybody. So they keep running that action, and the ends are like, can we rush or not? And if they do rush, and they do get within range of Cam Newton, you know and I know, you slow down, you get a little tentative because he's bigger than both of those defensive ends, and clearly he's mobile enough to make both of them miss. Bad matchup for the Denver Broncos. They're not big enough, they're not physical enough, and those two safeties did not finish the game against my New England Patriots. Am I right? T.J. Ward and Darian Stewart didn't finish the game. They're not right. I know they have 2 weeks to get ready. They will not be 100%, which means Mr. Greg Olsen, just watch. He will get open in this game, and he will catch passes for big gains from one Cam Newton, who will be the MVP of this game.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because I think Greg Olsen was going to catch passes no matter what, number one. Number two, while you keep bringing up Tom Brady and the New England Patriots, who are not in the Super Bowl, by the way.
I almost picked him anyway. I was going to pick him today.
Let me bring up another team for you, for your edification. Remember that team called the Pittsburgh Steelers?
I recall. I'm sorry, I don't.
Allow me to remind you, and why you should be reminded, because that Denver Broncos team with Brock Osweiler as the quarterback that lost to the Pittsburgh Steelers 34-27 was up, if I remember correctly, something along the lines of like 27-10 or something along those lines. What I'm saying to you is that last time I checked during that game, they did have Big Ben Roethlisberger, who dare I say, to some degree, is a better version than Cam Newton, at least at this time. We're talking about Big Ben here.
But can he run the read option? Can he run the read option?
No. Listen to me. Listen to me. But he does extend plays, scrambling out of the pocket, struggling off defenders.
He can do that.
He can do that. So even though he's not Cam as it pertains to the read option or literally having running plays called for him, he is a better version of Cam in terms of extending plays and actually throwing the football. So let's look at it from that perspective. Then you talk about Ted Ginn Jr., Funches, Greg Olsen. Well, I'm sorry. What about Antonio Brown and Wheaton and Bryant and Shula? What about D'Angelo Williams coming out of the backfield at that particular moment in time? I'm saying to you that the abundance of weapons that the Pittsburgh Steelers have at their disposal was problematic in the end for Denver, but for a half, Denver came in there and was doing their thing. I only bring that up to say they did that with Brock Osweiler. They did that without a genius at the quarterback position, because Brock Osweiler is not that. He just has a stronger arm. They did that, and really that defense is not something to be ignored. Now, that was the game where Chris Harris Jr. got eaten alive. I mean, what happened to him? I mean, Antonio Brown should be arrested for the beatdown he put on Chris Harris Jr.
Does he not do that to almost everybody who attempts to cover him?
No. I like Chris Harris. I'm not just.
No, I'm talking about Antonio.
I know that. What I'm saying is I like Chris Harris. I respect him, but I'm just making that point to you to make. Nobody on Carolina is Antonio Brown. And so my point is that if you have the weapons that the Steelers have at their disposal, what you had that particular game, I think that Antonio Brown had like 16, 17 receptions for nearly 200 yards. I'm saying to you, I anticipate that's not going to be something that's going to happen to, in this game to Denver. So because of that, I'm anticipating that Carolina won't be able to do offensively what Pittsburgh did. That doesn't mean it won't be enough. That doesn't mean they won't get their points eventually. I'm just making the point to you that I think it's going to be more competitive than you're willing to concede, because Denver's defense is somebody, as a unit, I believe can make things very, very interesting in this game. I don't believe that Denver's offense is going to make that much noise. I don't believe that Peyton Manning is going to have a great game. I don't believe against that defense they're going to be able to do what you would hope they could do. This is not Denver's offense from 2 years ago when they got annihilated by Seattle. They were a prolific offense at that point. That's not the case here. But I do think this defense deserves our respect to the point where we have to look at them and say, they can make things very, very interesting because they could keep Denver in the game at least until late.
But you're not switching your pick.
No. I'm just saying that you and I disagree. You thought it was going to be comfortable and Denver would score late to make the score look reasonable. I'm saying it would be close until the end when Carolina pulled away.
Okay, and I think that we have seen Cam Newton through Super Bowl week be as supremely confident, especially a first-time Super Bowl quarterback, as I can ever remember, and I think he knows that I'm right about this. I think that he's looking at the film saying, we got this.
I think Cam Newton has been preoccupied with the media because they're asking him ridiculous, stupid questions on media day, and it's gotten on his nerves. So I don't think we've been able to tell how comfortable he's been, because he's not uncomfortable. He's preoccupied with having to, honor media availability requirements and stuff like that. That's all. He's never been worried about the game. He doesn't get worried about games.
Especially this game.
You know who else has been really comfortable? Peyton Manning, more relaxed than ever. And I appreciate you bringing up the Patriots and Steelers for me, because, guys, is Peyton going to be able to manage the game? Is he not going to turn the ball over?
Are you doing this? Are you going where I think you're going?
Is he going to be able to find weaknesses in that defense and put points on that board? Do they have the #1 ranked defeness? Is this the year of Cam, or is this the year of the fairy tale ending for Peyton Manning?
Don't talk to them.
Please, thank you. Yes, courage of my conviction. Skip Bayless.
I do agree with my man Skip here, Molly, when he said, "What you looking at everybody else for?" I mean, we're here. You don't get to ignore us, Miss Connecticut.
Really?
We're
I just heard your cases, so I was already done with you. So I was moving on, seeing if anyone else wanted to pile on.
Are you going out on this limb?
Where's my girl, Crystal? Crystal, where are you? Working the red lipstick like me. Can we please put it on the board? Right there. There we go. Peyton riding off with that white horse. All right. Stephen A. Skip, say Carolina. I'm going with Denver. They're giving me a side eye. Guess what?
You know
not
what?
Concerned.
Molly, I promise not to shame you on Monday's show.
Oh, you're such a sweetheart.
I won't say a word about
I
you can promise
appreciate
that's Monday's show. How about right now? Why don't you just admit that it's all emotion because you want Peyton to have the fairy tale ending? Ain't that true, Molly? Miss Connecticut? Is that not true?
There's a little heart in the pick. There's a little heart in the pick. And it has nothing to do with Cam or the Panthers, just a little heart.
Okay.
Hey, anything can happen on any given Sunday. #1 defense.
That's true.
That is
we saw what they did to your teams.
Yeah, Al Pacino told us. Remember?
All right,
Any
all
given
right.
Sunday, we know.
Okay, now we know their predictions, guys. Join SportsCenter's Twitter vote. We want to hear from you. If you're rolling with the Panthers or riding with the Broncos, the vote will go all day. The results will be revealed later in the show, 6 p.m. SportsCenter. All right. Now, on to a very serious note, a conversation unfortunately we have to have but don't want to. Browns quarterback Johnny Manziel allegedly hit his ex-girlfriend several times at a Dallas hotel Saturday, according to redacted police report released Thursday. The two left the hotel, and WFAA-TV in Dallas reports Manziel told the woman, quote, "Shut up or I'll kill us both," before forcing her into a car. During a drive to Fort Worth, Manziel allegedly hit her several more times. The women alleged that Manziel was acting, quote, as if he were on some kind of drugs, but said he was not intoxicated. Manziel, in an interview with TMZ Sports, posted later Thursday, said of the claims, quote, "It didn't happen." Police said Manziel will not face any criminal charges. Skip, what's your reaction?
Molly, Stephen A., our fans here, look, we have discussed this to death, but I feel obligated to state my case one maybe last time here. Johnny Manziel has big issues off the field. He went to rehab last offseason. It clearly did not take. I believe he needs another rehab. I believe he needs to look in the mirror, face his problems, and attempt to come to grips and control his problems, or he will have no shot in the NFL, because I don't believe he'll have much of a shot in life. And I appreciate your setup here, because the scariest quote I've heard so far is Johnny Manziel, according to WFAA-TV in Dallas, saying to her, "Shut up or I'll kill us both." If that isn't the classic "I just hit bottom" desperate quote, I don't know what is. And yet, now we have the same woman for the second time alleging that Johnny struck her. In this case, she said he struck her so hard in the ear that, as she was interviewed by the police, she still had not regained her hearing in said ear. Yet, for the second straight time, the first time in suburban Cleveland, now in Fort Worth and in Dallas, the police, for reasons beyond me, opted not to charge Johnny Manziel. I don't know the details. I don't know the testimony. I just find it highly suspicious, and that's just my 2 cents from a distance. I will say, for the record, that Lisa Friel, who now heads the investigative team that looks into alleged domestic violence of NFL players, went to Cleveland after the first incident in suburban Cleveland and interviewed Johnny. I don't know if she interviewed the alleged victim, but I hope she did. I'm going to assume she did. And the NFL chose not to punish Johnny Manziel. I am also going to assume that Lisa Friel will be back on this case quick, fast, and as you say, in a hurry. I'm hoping she will again interview Johnny. I'm hoping she will again interview, for a second time, the alleged victim. And I am hoping that Johnny Manziel gets punished, and punished harshly, by the league for what our law enforcement has failed to punish him for. That's just my 2 cents from a distance, from what I know, from what I read. I've seen and heard enough of this, and I hope the NFL now takes action.
I hope Lisa Friel doesn't waste her time flying to Cleveland, Dallas, or wherever else he is. I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's necessary to talk to the alleged victim in all of this. It's not necessary. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it ain't a damn mongoose, it's a duck. And the fact of the matter is that when you look at Johnny Manziel and the totality of the transgressions that he is alleged to have committed, enough's enough. Now, he might engage in deniability or plausible deniability because nobody may have seen it, and he may have said this didn't happen, this didn't happen, that may or may not have happened. We don't know the facts. We were not there. We're getting interpretation from her and what have you. But here's the reality. People in the NFL throughout recent history have been punished, not just because of the preponderance of evidence, veered against them, but also because of the perception and how it sullies the shield, the NFL brand. So when you take all of those things into consideration, there's nothing that's required on the part of the NFL.
The personal conduct code has been violated,
That's right. The personal conduct code has been violated. Alcohol, rehabilitation clinic, allegations of things other than alcohol, rehabilitation clinic. Police report. Side of the road in Cleveland.
Yep.
Police report. Texas. Both involving potential violence upon a woman. What else do you need? The fact is that these are the things that have been reported. These are the things that have been said. In the court of law, Johnny Manziel should and shall have his day. But last time I checked, there have been people, whether it be on this show, on various other shows, whether it be television or radio or newspapers and beyond, the court of public opinion, they have been vilified, they have been excoriated, and they have been dealt with in the court of public opinion because of the preponderance of evidence faced against them, because ultimately somebody's asking you, why you? Why of all the people in the world do you find yourself in this situation? Because you have an obligation to make sure that you're removed from all of that. I could be innocent until the cows come home. But if you find yourself in the news time and time and time again for legal issues, ESPN going to call me in the office and they're going to be like, look, bro, you need to sit down. You need to go home. You understand? You're lucky if we call you back because we're tired of our name being associated with your name for this nonsense.
You got it.
That's the real world. Johnny Manziel has to sit down. And in my opinion, you listen to these reports, and they're talking about how there's somebody else that's going to come up, and he's confident that they're going to pick him up. I said this before, and I'll say it again. I know that the NFL Players Association has a problem with collusion, and they should, because you don't want owners communicating with one another to ostracize somebody from the league. There are exceptions to every rule. I think this is one of those rules where the owners should get together and say, at least for next season, nobody touches Johnny Manziel, because you can't have this kind of stuff happening. Greg Hardy had to sit down. Ray Rice had to sit down. Adrian Peterson had to sit down. They got their money, but they had to sit down. But the reason why they got their money is because they were big-time players before they got into the trouble. If Johnny ain't getting paid, it's because you weren't a big-time player who garnered that contract. So that's your problem. In the end, your actions, your transgressions, the perception that you have allowed to be perpetuated to the point where it's sullying the name of the shield, the brand, those 3 letters. It cannot be tolerated. The man has to sit down. I wish Johnny Manziel nothing but the best. My heart goes out to him and his family. I'm not rooting anything against him. But the brother seems out of control. It is time that he sits down and sits down for the year. He should not be allowed to play the entire 2016 season.
I am so with you, and I apologize to the – thank you. I apologize to the fans here who have asked me, hey, where would be the best fit for Johnny? Nowhere. Just know I can't even deal with football right now. This is so much deeper.
And I applaud you both for saying that, not needing visuals to say that, because that's been what's been occurring in the past. We had to wait for pictures and videos, and we have none, and we don't need them.
Jason Witten, in fairness to him, and when they talked about all of this noise about Jerry Jones and possibly bringing him to the Cowboys, Jason Witten did say that he would support, but did we support the move of Johnny Manziel coming to the Cowboys? But he only prefaced it by saying, I would support whatever Jerry Jones and Stephen Jones do. They run the organization. I'm a player. So he wasn't saying that like with Johnny Manziel. He's just saying anybody that they elect to bring in, he will support.
Deion Sanders has a strong opinion about Johnny to Dallas, and we'll ask him about that.
Yes, of course. And unfortunately, his agency can no longer support him. IMG has just dropped Johnny Manziel.
Wow.
Super Bowl 50, 2 days away from Fort Mason Center here in San Francisco, Fisherman's Wharf. All right, could tomorrow be a Western Conference Finals preview, gentlemen? The 38-13 Thunder take on the 45-4 Warriors. That's 9 Eastern at ESPN on Oracle Arena. Stephen A., you are covering this game. You will be there. It's going to count, Skip, for him. Stephen A., what do you expect?
Skip Bayless.
Yes, sir.
We've been talking about the NBA season since September. What is the one game that I have religiously been preaching about that's been on my schedule? It has been this.
This is like Christmas Eve.
This is the game that I have been waiting for. We all know that the Warriors are the best team in basketball. They're the reigning defending NBA champions. We all know that the league MVP, Steph Curry, as far as I'm concerned, is the runaway favorite to capture his 2nd consecutive MVP honor. And unlike Steve Nash, who I love and respect, there will be no debate about whether or not Steph Curry deserves the MVP this year. I mean, he's the runaway right now. But while everybody was talking about LeBron James showing up on Christmas Day or San Antonio showing up in the play against them, this has been the one game on my schedule, on this schedule that I have been monitoring since the season began. Because as great as Steph Curry is, and as beautiful as he played last year, it wasn't just the ascension of Steph Curry, it was the ascension of the Golden State Warriors. So even though we looked and we marveled at Steph Curry, we sort of got lost in the shuffle because Golden State was running away. They were the number 1 seed. Everybody looked at them. Steve Kerr was the new coach. Mark Jackson was out. Klay Thompson was there balling. Draymond Green and those boys came out, and you just saw all of this. So even though you gave Steph Curry his just due and he was the league MVP, it was a collective effort that we were monitoring. But then as the playoffs continued and the finals came and Steph Curry did his thing, and then in the offseason being a champion, and then coming into this season, all we've been hearing about is Steph Curry. And if there is one man in the NBA that is the kind of person that says, damn all that nonsense, here I come. Who the hell do y'all think y'all are? You think I'm just going to let this brother roll up in here and run over me and steamroll over me and I do nothing about it? You better ask somebody. If there's one person with that attitude, it is Russell Westbrook. And I'm telling you right now, listen, Kevin Durant is the most efficient superstar on the Oklahoma City Thunder, averaging 27 and 7, shooting at 50% from the field, almost 40% from three-point range. The brother's on another level. We know what Kevin Durant can do. He's always done it. But we learned last year that Russell Westbrook, as much of a superstar talent he is, he's elevated his game to some degree. And when I look at Russell Westbrook, I just see, forget the numbers and all of this stuff, I see a guy that is the most ruthless competitor in all of the NBA. He's not taking times off. He's not backing down to challenges, and he's not taking it lightly. I'm going to tell you the difference between Russell Westbrook and the Golden State Warriors, whether it's Steph Curry or the whole team. They kind of take their foot off the gas because they're so great, they literally toy with people. Russell Westbrook, the kind of dude that might kill you and still stomp on you. It's just okay. And I'm just saying that's what I'm looking for Saturday night.
So who are you picking?
Well, I'm picking the Warriors.
You're picking the Warriors after all that?
Yes.
After all that, you're picking the Warriors?
Yes, because I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to say this real quick. The outcome, it's the regular season. I don't care about the outcome, meaning who wins or loses in the regular season, midway through the regular season, Skip, because guys take times off, guys, they do what they do, and I don't worry about that. Why I wanted this game, it's the individual matchup that I've been waiting to see all year long, because that's going to tell me, it's going to give me some insight into what I can expect come postseason. The outcome itself doesn't matter. It's what goes down during the game. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Things can happen, man.
Is it even going to be close?
It's going to be close.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah. Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook's going to have something to say about it. I don't think they're getting blown out the building. I think that the Oklahoma City Thunder is the greatest threat to Golden State than anybody right now. Unless the Spurs get there, unless LaMarcus Aldridge shows up and is consistent. And, of course, Tim Duncan's got to be healthy to play your defense.
Well, wait a second. Manu Ginobili's got to be healthy. And, by the way, we have a woman in Manu jersey. Way to go. Go Spurs. Thank you very much.
That's right.
So he's got to come back from his recent surgery.
I don't get too excited about one-on-one matchups. Like, this is a rarity for me. I believe wholeheartedly that Russell Westbrook has been sitting back and hearing all of this noise about Steph Curry for so long. I think he's salivating this national stage. ABC, I think he can't wait.
Give me a score.
Oh, Lord.
Give me a score.
I'm going to tell
by 2, by 4.
I'm going to tell you Golden State 115, Oklahoma City 105.
Well, that's a 10-point game after all that soliloquy I had to sit through. All that Russell Wilson stuff. Russell Westbrook.
That's basketball, bro. I mean, 10 points that's nothing. You know, you can sit up there. It could be a 3-point game. You miss a shot. Somebody goes down and gets fouled a couple of times. Game's over. It's going to be a close game.
You went by 10 just so Draymond can't pull you aside after the game and say, bro, what are you doing? Am I right?
No, that's not true. That's not true in this one. But I did have to apologize to Draymond when I said that Cleveland was going to beat Golden State. He was like, didn't you know Kevin Love was sticking me, bro? I mean, you know, he got me there. He got you. He got me there.
All right, can I...
Go ahead.
Can I try to put on my best Stephen A. here?
Oh, gosh.
There is one team out there. There is one team that can embarrass Russell Westbrook on a national stage, and it is the Golden State Warriors.
Hold on. Did you use the word? Hold it.
Embarrass.
Embarrass. Russell Westbrook.
Embarrass.
Embarrass Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
Oh, you go. You're ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Russell Westbrook get embarrassed?
You know what?
Okay.
Draymond Green's going to love me after this because I think the visiting team tomorrow night is in big trouble because this is going to get ugly for the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Okay.
And I remind you, those Thunder, despite Russell Westbrook's triple-double, yet again another triple-double, and despite a late bomb by Kevin Durant, the most efficient offensive player in the NBA, they almost lost at home the other night to the Orlando Magic. You know why? Because they play little to no defense. Certainly unified, collective defense. Maybe Russell will play a little one-on-one over here. Maybe Kevin will do this. Maybe Ibaka will block a shot. But there's no connected defense going on here. And there's definitely no connected offense going on here. It's your turn. It's my turn. These are two of the best offensive players I've ever seen individually, solo acts. But when you ask these two to combine to withstand the onslaught of something I have never seen before, which is the Golden State Warriors offense, it will get ugly because they will get sliced and diced. Back cuts, layups. It's going to be a clinic put on tomorrow night by the Golden State Warriors. A clinic.
So what's your score?
124 to 103. That's what I got. 124 to 103.
So you saying that I want to make sure I'm clear.
Yes,
you're saying
you got
that Russell Westbrook will get embarrassed.
Yes.
Russell Westbrook.
Yes.
And Kevin Durant. They're going to get embarrassed.
Yes, embarrassed.
Skip Bayless, are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? This might be worse than on the Cowboys. If the Golden State Warriors embarrass Oklahoma City tomorrow, I will wear an Andrew Bogut jersey.
Andrew Bogut? Andrew Bogut? I don't even, I'm proud to say I don't even know what number Andrew Bogut wears.
That's right.
I never even noticed.
Neither do I.
Yeah.
And you know how
Is that it?
Listen, even though he's played
12?
Even though he's
we got a number 12
even
right
though
here.
he's played better. Remember, I called him Andrew Bogus for years.
You did.
I'm telling you right now. I'm telling you, listen,
Wait, I got a question. Do they even sell Andrew Bogus jerseys? Are they available?
I'm quite
this
sure
man's got a hat.
I'm quite sure they do. But I'm just saying because I've had to criticize him, and he's another sensitive lad.
Yeah.
But because I've had to criticize him on several.
All right, you're on the record.
Well, on the record, I will wear an Andrew Bogut jersey if they embarrass the Oklahoma City. That will not happen.
Okay.
Kevin Durant, Ibaka, and Russell Westbrook, they will not get embarrassed.
Who's going to define embarrassed?
Well, we all know what embarrassed is.
Is 124 to 103 embarrassed?
I think so.
Okay.
I think so.
Right.
I think so. Especially, but to me, it's like, you acting like Steph Curry gonna drop 50 and Russell Westbrook's not gonna have something to say. Like remember the other day with John Wall and the crew, even though Steph Curry put on the show, John Wall had 41 and 10. So I'm just saying that Russell Westbrook's gonna have something.
Okay, but wait a second. My president told us yesterday that Klay Thompson has the prettier jump shot than Steph Curry. I heard Obama say that. Did I not hear it?
Yeah, you did.
So now we sparked a little competition. Maybe Klay will show up and maybe he'll drop 37 in a quarter.
With all due respect, we have a president that I love dearly, but I don't know how accurate his stuff is. Number one, and number two, our president, who I love dearly, tends to go on a basketball court shooting against people who can't really shoot to make himself look good. So look, all I'm saying is, look, I'm just saying. Look. I voted for our president. Okay, that don't mean I got to approve of how he rings his jump shooting contest. That's all I'm saying.
Wait. Can you say audit? As in, you might get audited?
I might get a call. I might get a call.
Okay. We're going with the word.
I'd let the president win the jump shot shooting. He seems to like that.
Okay.
He seems to like that.
Hey, baseball fans, I'm Buster Olney. And on the latest Baseball Tonight podcast, we swing through the National League West. And Jason Stark talks about the growing discussion of teams tanking. Go subscribe to the show now in the Listen tab of the ESPN app.
The crowd is nuts here in San Francisco, and we absolutely love it. Super Bowl 2 days away. We're at the Fort Mason Center in San Francisco here at Fisherman's Wharf. And it is time for my favorite part of the show. We like to call this Mollywood. And I love it because I'm in the trenches with you guys, our First Take fam, and I'm so excited. I'm here right now with Deborah Jones. Now, you're from San Antonio, and with your husband, James, who is in the Air Force. We appreciate what you do, protecting our country. Thank you so much. Now, Skip is going to love this. This is all we need, more Skip love, a Spurs fan. He was trying to tell me earlier they're the new America's team, but we won't get into that now. What is your question for Mr. Lovely Bayless over here?
How much will Manu Ginobili's injury hurt the Spurs?
Oh, you had to ask me, Deborah. And I love that jersey. In fact, I have one of my own number 20s at home. Stephen A., this is a killer for my Spurs, who, by the way, I remind everyone, have still not lost a home game. But Manu Ginobili, the other night, took a classic charge. I happened to be watching the game live from Ryan Anderson and suffered an unspeakable injury and needed surgery for said unspeakable injury. They're saying it's a month, but it sounds like it could be 6 to 8 weeks to me. Manu Ginobili has been playing 5 years younger than he did last year. He's turned back into the Spurs closer in close games. They will miss him, and they're going to lose some games without him.
The kind of injury that he suffered from, no man should be subjected to. Let's just leave it at that. Having said all of that, I will tell you this. Manu Ginobili is incredibly important because you're not, in all probability, you're not going to beat the Golden State Warriors playing from inside out. You're going to have to compete against their up-tempo play and their superior guard play. Manu Ginobili helps in that regard, and any injury to him is devastating to the Spurs because Kawhi Leonard needs help.
You got it.
All right, guys, listen to this. Stephen Curry here with me right now. Tell everyone where you flew from last night to be here.
Sydney, Australia.
Oh, wow.
I love it. And what time do you watch First Take?
2 a.m. every night, ESPN 2.
Oh, my gosh. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
We so appreciate that. What do you want to ask?
By the way, he's got the Bogut hat on. See, he's got number 12. He does.
You're so in sync.
Australia.
All right. What do you want to ask these two lovely gentlemen here?
Are you okay with Des Bryant telling DeMarco Murray to come back to the Cowboys on Twitter?
I loved it, first of all. And by the way, I'm just messing with Bogut. I know you guys love him down under. He's a good guy, just a little sensitive. But let me get back to Des Bryant with DeMarco. DeMarco, I believe that's where the Cowboys' fall began. You don't mess with continuity. You don't mess with what's working, particularly when you've been the Dallas Cowboys. You've been irrelevant for nearly 20 years. When that happens and then finally you get a reprieve from all of that and you've established an elite running game due to an elite offensive line with an elite runner that meshes with that offensive line and that's protected your quarterback, you hold on to that for dear life. I know that Darren McFadden was good. I really do. But that's numbers-wise. But the chemistry DeMarco had with that offensive line and with that team is not something you give away, especially when you're starving to be relevant for the first time in 2 decades. I don't blame Des Bryant for saying that one bit, and I think that's why he said it.
And I despised that he said it. And I am a Cowboy fan. You are not.
That's right. That's why
And
that's
Des
why I'm
Bryant,
objective.
Des Bryant, this just in. You need to, Des, let it go, give it up, stay in the present, stay with Darren McFadden, because that's all you're going to have next year, and that will be enough. There's a new coach in Philadelphia. And by the way, DeMarco has 4 years left on his deal. So where's all this buzz coming that he's going to be able to come back to Dallas? You don't think Doug Peterson, a protege of Andy Reid, go back to meat and potatoes, I formation, hand the ball to DeMarco? Right. He's an Eagle. Let it go.
Well, he did say that. I spoke to DeMarco Murray yesterday, and he did say that. You know, he was over there on Radio Row, and he did say that. You're right about it factually. But that doesn't mean that Darius Bryant is not allowed to dream. After all, when you live with the Dallas Cowboys, and it's a perpetual nightmare, you should be allowed to dream from time to time.
Well, why would you? What does that do for your locker room? To wish that somebody's there?
I'm just telling you, the man is dreaming.
Not realistic.
The man is dreaming because he's subjected to nightmares.
Stop it.
You know what's a dream for me? I always boast you guys are the two of the best in the business. I'm so lucky. You're so talented. You know who can give you a run for your money? Prime time. Deion Sanders, my former college friend. I can't wait to see him go head-to-head with you two. Prime, thank you so much for being with us.
It's the daytime.
Yeah, it's prime time, baby. Welcome back to San Francisco for First Take's coverage of Super Bowl 50, Fort Mason Center. And this next guest really needs no introduction here at all. He's so clean, he's dirty. You know who it is. Prime time.
Must be the money. Must be the money. Must be the money. Must be the money.
Thank you.
I had a nice intro for you. Your Super Bowl championships, multiple-time Pro Bowler, baseball, etc. But the fans, they showed the love, so I think we're good.
And I appreciate it.
Deion,
I've been waiting on this moment for quite a long time.
Honored to have you, my
I've been
brother.
bombarding you with text messages.
Well, you never had to, my man. And listen, you one of the godfathers as far as I'm concerned. I listen to you. You speak, I listen. Great work on the NFL Network.
I appreciate it.
You're spectacular. We know what you did as a player. Plus, you're my boy, so I'm happy
this
to have you
is the best sports show
Thank you.
on television. It really is. That's it.
Allow me to say, I had the honor and privilege of covering one primetime team, the 1995 Dallas Cowboys, who did win the whole thing. And even though I don't always agree with this man, and I may disagree in the next few minutes with this man, not only was he the greatest cornerback I ever saw, he was the greatest all-around athlete I ever saw.
I appreciate it.
Ever saw.
Although in the hotel lobby yesterday, I ran into Bo Vincent Jackson, and he is the best ever. And if it had not been for Bo, it wouldn't be no Prime.
I don't know. I think you were a better football player than he was.
Well,
That's
go
my
ahead
opinion.
and testify then.
Okay, I will. And you know what? You were a really good Major League Baseball player for a long time.
Thank you very much. You're kind.
You got it.
Now let's get to the real.
Yeah, Deion, thank you so much for being here. We so appreciate it. All right, we've all been talking about one Cam Newton. Yes. Let's get into his comments saying that he's an African-American quarterback, and that may scare a lot of people because they haven't seen anything they can compare me to. What do you make of all this attention on him?
That's not good coming from Cam. It's good coming from one of us to make that statement. But when you start telling us what color you are, we know you're black. Forget the African American. You're black. All right, you're a black quarterback. And when he says there's nothing to compare him to, yes and no. Michael Vick was a phenomenon. Randall Cunningham was unbelievable. We had Warren Moon that was off the chain. Donovan McNabb had a great run. I know I'm forgetting some, but Steve McNair, oh my God, I think one of the best AFC Championships games I've ever seen in my life that was played in Oakland.
I was there.
And I was there. And I said, oh my God. Cam is a different beast. Cam is a new generation type of quarterback. Cam is the Twitter, the Instagram, he's the Facebook, he's that type of guy right now. This is who I am. This is who I'm going to be. If you don't like it, you deal with it. I dab, I dance, I smile. Then on top of that, I'm going to give a ball to a child just to balance it out.
Okay.
That's who Cam is. I love everything about him. I think he has tremendously matured over the last couple of years. I saw Cam in an interview maybe 2-3 years ago after a game, and it was like he was talking to his girl. He had his eyes down. They were almost closed. He was just rambling on. And I'm like, man, if you want to know how to do a post-game interview, watch the Mannings. They are royalty when it comes to distributing facts to the public. But I love where Cam is right now. I love what he stands for. I love what he's about. The problem is we don't condone as a society something that we've never seen. We don't condone in society something that we cannot grasp or have a handle on. And oftentimes we let our insecurities get offended by one's confidence.
Does he remind you of you?
In some aspects. He has the swagger. He has the je ne sais quoi. He has the game, and is not contrived. I get upset, Stephen, when a guy gets to a certain level and they flip on us, wanting us to believe that this is who you really are.
Right.
This is Cam. This really is who he is. And I like a guy to be consistent, win or lose. Cam, if you're going to be this, win or loss. Don't just be this when you're 17-1, but continuously be this person no matter what the outcome is. Prime was prime no matter what team, no matter what the score, no matter what the game. Prime was prime.
Yeah, the only thing I would say about that before I let Skip go is that you can't dab when you're losing. That's the only thing I would say. You can't dab.
And the only reason we're making a thing of the dab, and Cam is a quarterback who's scoring often.
That's right.
He is.
Because we don't have a problem with the discount double check.
No.
Matter of fact, he made millions off of it. We don't have a problem when Brett Favre was running around aimlessly on the field doing his
look
thing.
at him jump into the arms of his offensive lineman. He loves the game so much. It's so beautiful to see.
We don't have a problem when Brady comes over and headbutts the whole team. But see, Cam is scoring at the rate we hadn't seen a quarterback score.
Correct.
On his own, not on a pass play. I mean, on his own. So when he lands into the end zone, now he's at the celebration aspect of everything, and that's when we start to criticize him because we have not seen a quarterback score at this rate.
Okay, which leads to my question I've been asking all week. When Cam did refer to himself as an African-American quarterback that people can't compare anyone to, was he talking about on the field or with the celebrations? With his performance or his celebrations?
He was talking about both.
Okay.
He was talking about both, that they can't compare him to. Mike Vick really never celebrated, on his own. Really off the field, Mike Vick was Mike Vick. We really don't know a lot about, unless we talk about the dysfunction that Mike Vick had in his life. But I believe he was just talking about both entities, that you hadn't seen me, and he doesn't need to go there. He has us. Let us be your mouthpiece. Sometimes you don't need to blow your own horn, especially when your car is already loud.
Okay. So if you step back from this, as I have for Stephen A., I've covered black quarterbacks since the first consistent starter back in the 70s for the LA Rams, James Harris. I was with Doug Williams in college before he got drafted. All the way up to Donovan McNabb. I've known closely several black quarterbacks who always insisted to me, please don't call me a black quarterback. I'm just a quarterback. I want to be accepted just the way everybody, regardless of color, is accepted as a quarterback. So it was a little startling for me to hear this man, this young man, before his first Super Bowl, refer to himself as African American, to your point. I applauded it because I think he wants to embrace his culture and his roots. He said, I'm going to embrace who I am, whether you like it or not. He didn't go that far, but that's how it came across. I am fine with that, but you're not. You're saying, let us do that. So you thought he stepped across the line?
I'm tired of us playing the race card. We don't need to play the race card when we have an ace, a king, and a jack.
Okay, got it.
Why are we playing that card? We have a deck full that we can play. We don't need to bring out that card. You have the whole darn deck in your hands, and you playing, and you have a winning hand. So you don't even need to bring that up.
Well, let me address this. I think you're absolutely right when you're talking about Cam. I think me sitting in this chair, you sitting in the chair that you're sitting in, it's an entirely different situation in terms of explaining, because it's what we do, okay? When you look at Cam Newton and when you alluded to how it's both on and off the field, let's call it what it is. It's first take. We're going to be real. Let's get it on. Here's the deal. When you talk about Cam Newton saying, you haven't seen anybody like me, understand that during the Warren Moon era, you definitely had to do what Dion just highlighted. As time progressed, you could be more open. But a Donovan McNabb, didn't really want to touch it.
No.
You know, the Michael Vick.
That's Donovan.
No. I'm just saying.
That's on him.
No, I know that. I'm getting there. Oh, don't worry about it. So Donovan didn't want to touch it. You know, the Michael Vicks of the world, the Steve McNairs of the world, others. Great guys. You understand, that had challenges, that went out there and performed, didn't want to touch it. So now, here comes Cam Newton. And what Cam Newton is sitting there saying, and this is something that goes on in the black community, I'm going to get an amen on this. We understand that it's all of us, it's not for anybody to define one's blackness. That's disrespectful. But there is a difference between a black person and a brother.
Come on.
Now, a black person is black, but a brother is somebody that embraces his blackness.
Say amen.
And so when you have a quarterback like Cam Newton making a statement that he made, what he's saying is, I'm unapologetically who I am. I'm going to embrace this, and folks from my community can understand it. They can relate to it. More importantly, they appreciate it, because usually people who are my predecessors, those who came before me, not all but some, weren't too keen in doing so. And because they weren't too keen in doing so, we had an establishment out there that found them to be easier to embrace than they would be to embrace me.
Got it.
I don't like it, but I'm not going to care anyway, because it's not going to disrupt my flow. Did I break that down right?
You broke it down. And furthermore, it's because simplistically, Cam got his money.
Right.
Therefore, he doesn't have to play this game.
Because he got his money.
He got his money a year ago. So now you see the really opening up of the Jack in the Box, and everything is popping up that we knew was already in there, because he's already gotten paid. He does not have to play this game anymore. Only thing he's chasing now is championships and endorsements. That's it.
I got a lot more to say.
Yeah,
but I think we need to take a break.
Yep, Prime, we're just getting started with
Ain't going
you.
nowhere.
We have traveled a long way from our home in Bristol, Connecticut. 3 time zones and nearly 3,000 miles later, we have moved coast to coast here in the Bay Area, ahead of Super Bowl 50 at Levi Stadium in Santa Clara. And first take is at the General's Residence Basin in San Francisco. First take fam in the house. And they're loving today, because not only do they get Skip and Stephen A., they have Deion Sanders. Who's better than them, right? Yes. All right.
Well, that's stating the obvious, I would say, right?
It is.
Well, he is a bad man. He does deserve it.
All right. So before the break, we were discussing Cam. Obviously, we left off with you guys. I want Skip to get involved here. A potential future Hall of Famer. Skip, your thoughts on his comments leading up to the Super Bowl these past 2 weeks.
What Stephen A. Smith just so powerfully stated, what Deion echoed, and our audience applauded, leads me to a question I am curious about, and I would value perspective from both of these gentlemen on this question. We have had black quarterbacks in this game now 4 straight years, back to Kaepernick and obviously Russell Wilson for the last 2. So let's just keep it to Russell Wilson. Why in his 2 years, why in his 2 Super Bowl weeks, did we not discuss, hear about, debate any black quarterback issues concerning Russell Wilson?
Russell Wilson is closer to a traditional quarterback as there is. The mold is Brady. The mold is Manning. Russell Wilson is that type of guy with a lot of athleticism. Aaron Rodgers-esque. Cam Newton is a whole nother dude. He's not running a traditional offense. He's running an offense with a little college tendency in it. So we're not going to get that. Russell Wilson is not dabbing when he scores. Russell Wilson is a very polite, very conscious baseball player. It's kind of cerebral. He's that type of guy. He's not going to do anything to threaten authority. He's not that guy. So let's not make him that guy. And let's not take a shot at his blackness. Because I truly believe that he understands that he is a African-American quarterback. Cam, on the other hand, is Cam. Whoa, Cam. You see what I mean? That's Cam Newton. Two different entities that you can't look at them the same.
Okay, but remember, Russell will run with the football now. He runs read option, called running plays, different kind of running plays. He won't run between the tackles the way Cam will, short yardage goal line, but he will run with the football, right?
Yes, he
That's
will.
not traditional.
That's not traditional, but it's not Cam. Russell Wilson is a really conscious, polite, thoughtful young man. That's not saying Cam isn't.
I got you.
Cam is College Park, Georgia. Cam is this generation's guy. Cam had the audacity and the nerve to wear and to dress the way he dresses. And you got to have some real confidence to do that.
You want me to take it from here?
Yes,
Take
sir.
it.
Cam Newton has changed. Cam Newton has changed, expedited. Cam Newton has changed, that has arrived a bit too sooner than folks are comfortable with. And that's what this is. When you look at Russell Wilson, if you remember correctly, Skip, when word came out that there were people questioning his blackness, I was appalled. He doesn't deserve that.
By the way, Mike Freeman of the Bleacher Report wrote a piece about this
and
last
but
year.
he did it. It was like Mike Freeman, he got unfairly criticized for it because, once again, you got a reporter out there that's report what's going on, and people act like he was saying it when, in fact, it's what he was told.
Sure.
All right? And that wasn't fair to Mike Freeman. But the point that I'm trying to make is that you got a guy like Russell Wilson who didn't deserve that, but we need to understand the dynamics that come along with it. I talked to you in a previous segment, everybody up in here, about the difference between a black man and a brother. What you have in Russell Wilson is a black man. It's not that he's not a brother. It's that Cam Newton is more glaring and more flagrant with who he is. Russell Wilson wants to go out there and do the job. Russell Wilson was at North Carolina State. Russell Wilson transferred to Wisconsin. Russell Wilson was considered, somebody they questioned whether he could do this or that. And then he went and he did it. Then he got picked up in the third round. He goes to Seattle after they gave Matt Flynn $12 million in guaranteed money. I still want to know who his agent is. Only in America. I mean, Lord have mercy. Okay, but then Russell Wilson goes up in there as a rookie and wins the job in training camp, okay? So Russell Wilson sits there, draws the fine line. He's on a new level. He's in the NFL. You got Snyder the GM. You got Pete Carroll running the show, and they hand him the ball, and he's got to mesh himself and ingratiate himself in with his teammates. So you got the beast mode, Marshawn Lynch behind in the backfield. You got the Legion of Boom as the defense. They're the identity of the team, but he's sort of feeling his way through, getting along to get along while producing and elevating his level of play. So he's thought the prototypical quintessential way to do things, and that's what he does. But what happened is he wasn't the number one overall pick in the draft, who was a Heisman Trophy winner, who was a national champion, who was a junior college national champion, and has achieved on every single level. So when Cam comes in, Cam is like, here I am. And you got Dion, okay? And so all of a sudden, here we go. And here comes Cam. And in the process of that maturation, he's being picked apart and criticized, and suddenly he's not just a football player. Now you're that dude that needs to be held in check because we want to dictate your growth. We want to dictate how quick it maturates, how quick it ascends to the point where we get to control not just the image that you have, but also how quickly society embraces it and grasps it. And Cam said, hell no, you will not do that to me. I am going to dictate that. That is what is different between him, a Donovan McNabb, a Russell Wilson, and others. It's not that any of those brothers are not good people, great guys who were great football players and produced, but their approach to it was more receptive in the eyes of the public and Madison Avenue and the NFL and beyond, because they're comfortable with that incremental process, crawling before you walk. Whereas Cam said, if I can leap, why am I going to let you stop me from leaping? If I can jump and leap over these hurdles, why should I go through methodically what you want me to go through? It's like that person that has an opportunity to get millions. Most of us get our education. pound that pavement, get a job, get a career, whatever, whether it's even if you're an athlete, high school, college, pros. But if somebody tells you, you know what, you get to bypass 5 steps and go straight to being a millionaire, who's turning that down? Cam is saying, I ain't turning down this opportunity. This is me. Deal with it. And that is why it is such a struggle for folks to deal with. Am I right about that?
And you're right. And they're winning.
Yes.
Because none of it works unless you win.
And none of it works unless you win.
Let's go one level deeper. Let's get a little realer here. Stephen A. and I have gone back and forth, and I want Deion's deeper perspective on this. But we've gone back and forth about criticism of Cam Newton. In my little world, my little sample size of the people I know and run into, very unscientific. In my world, all the white people I know, they love them some Cam Newton. He is exciting. He is entertaining, especially younger people I know. They're all about Cam Newton, and they find Peyton Manning boring. Like he's old news, he's done, we're all about Cam. He is becoming beloved, in my opinion, in the white community as well as in the black community. Yet I continue to hear, and I get a little lost on criticism of Cam. They say. All I know, now again, Stephen A. is reading deeper things into it, and I respect the heck out of that. But all I know for sure is that one woman, a white woman in Nashville, Tennessee, who happened to be in the stands as a casual fan at a Panthers at Titans game in which Cam Newton scored the clinching 27-10 touchdown, and she was in the end zone, and right in front of her, Cam did the more extended dance that he did, probably the most extended of the year.
Right.
And the Titans were trying to fight him in the end zone. Remember this? They're trying to get by the referee to him.
Yeah, they were losing.
Yeah, it was a brother tried to fight him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Let's make note of that.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So she's up in the end zone with her 9-year-old daughter, 2 white people, and all of a sudden they're surrounded by Panther fans who have gotten tickets in their stadium. And because Cam is celebrating, they feel empowered to celebrate and taunt the Titan fans, including her and her daughter. Profanely taunt, and she was horrified by it and felt like Cam had encouraged these rival fans to taunt and shame them in their own city and in their own stadium. So she goes home impassioned, maybe a little knee-jerk emotionally, and she fires off a letter to the editor to the Charlotte Observer, which they print. She became the face of white racist resentment and hate of Cam Newton. Just that one. That's just my take on this. Then afterward, she cooled off after Cam spoke about it and apologized, wrote another letter of apology. That's all I know publicly that Cam has been criticized for. Your thoughts?
I agree, first and foremost, on the wonderful woman that was seated specifically in that section and was compelled to go home and write a letter. You never make a decision based on emotions. Calm down.
That's the truth.
That's why I hate to see our athletes upset after a game, then talk outlandishly because you're still emotional.
Got it.
Calm down. You see things from a whole different perspective. I think Cam is being unjustly and unjustifiably criticized, and it makes no sense. But we can't point the finger. We can't find the person. This is something I want to add. Most of our games are being commentated by old quarterbacks from the old regime, the old dinosaur drop-back quarterback. And they throw little subtle jabs in throughout the whole game that shapes your mind, and you have no understanding and idea that they're shaping your mind because this is the way they thought. This is their thought process because they were a simple drop-back quarterback, 1 read, 2 read, throw the ball away, they're not going to run. And they're shaping our minds, and we need to be careful because that's who's channeling our thoughts. Those gentlemen who are broadcasting the games. I was watching the Cincinnati Bengals game versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, and when Burfict sacked Ben Roethlisberger, that was the gentleman that was broadcasting the game saying, oh, that's a penalty. That's a flagrant hit. He should be fined. That wasn't a flagrant hit. That was a regular sack. But that's his thought process because he comes with a preconceived idea about Burfict.
By the way, no flag on the play.
No flag on the play. But that was his thought process. So he encouraged their minds to start thinking about, okay, this is a dirty player. And that's where some of it is coming from, the gentlemen that are broadcasting the game.
I'll tell you where else is coming from after the break.
Yeah, we're going to take a break. I know our first take fam here is enjoying the show. You know who else is? Ocho Cinco. you watching. He just tweeted the show. First Take is really good right now. Ocho Cinco, loving you being on the show right now. He just tweeted us.
Hey, this is George Sedano. Now you can subscribe to the NBA Lockdown podcast in the Listen tab of the ESPN app. For the full NBA Lockdown experience, subscribe now in the new Listen tab in the ESPN app.
First Take on the road for Super Bowl 50. Deion Sanders in the house. Who's better than us? All right, let's pick up where we left off. We were talking about the criticism of Cam, riveting conversation by the three of you. Stephen A., you had something you wanted to add to that conversation?
Well, we're talking about the criticism of Cam and what some of the reasons are for it. I think we have to understand that somebody like Cam epitomizes a younger generation challenging America to live up to what it claims to be. We're supposed to be a gorgeous mosaic. We embrace everything. Yet the minute something different comes in our face, we want to dictate how they're supposed to be and why. Mm-hmm. And so when you have that, obviously, we live in a society where it's incredibly wise to tell a younger generation of folks that what you need to monitor is that you don't get to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, how you want to do it, while you got your hand out for somebody else's money. You're going to have to capitulate to something. We get that part. But what Cam is saying is, once I've capitulated, now what's your problem? I ain't getting in trouble off the field. I'm not giving the brand the shield a bad name. I'm winning on the football field. I'm showing up to work on time. I'm being the leader I'm supposed to be. I'm doing positive things into the community. And now you still got something to complain about? We're not having that. Now, the letter that you keep bringing up and you're saying that's all you're aware of. One of the things, Prime, I said to Skip the other day, think about what Cam went through at Florida, to the junior college,
His
to
father
Auburn,
talked about that
to Auburn before he won the Heisman. Think about winning the Heisman and his daddy wasn't allowed to be there. Think about winning the national championship and his daddy wasn't allowed to be there. Think about the compilation of experiences that he had, albeit some would argue self-inflicted. Nevertheless, he went through a lot. Do you really think that on the road to this, that no one said anything about Cam? Emails, walking down the street, being in a restaurant, being with your friends. You really think that vitriol and venom is something that he hasn't experienced? Granted, it may not be now, but he was never on the podium on a Super Bowl week until now. So what did he say the other day? I always craved, and I always want, I'm paraphrasing, I always wanted the opportunity to be in a place or on a platform where I could speak and I would have influence. That's what he said. Well, why would he say that? You know why? Because there's a lot for him to say, because there's a lot that he feels, and it doesn't necessarily show itself because of a letter from some woman at a Tennessee game who happened to have a 9-year-old. It goes far, far, far deeper than that.
Okay, let's go back to Deion. Here was a trailblazer when you came out of Florida State. You were an Atlanta Falcon. We all know Atlanta has a great black community, but it's still in the South. And again, your first couple of years, boy, you were prancing and dancing when you picked balls off, and it was a little new. I'm not saying that it had never before been seen, but did you feel any backlash from the white community in Atlanta or the NFL over your celebrations?
Let me mention, I've been high-stepping since 74.
Got it. Well,
just because the world got a chance to glimpse this on a larger stage, I wasn't going to change. And this is real, Stephen A., and this might hit you. I expected to be criticized by a certain community. Mind you, I chose Atlanta although seemingly they chose me. I told several football teams that was drafting prior, I'm playing baseball. Don't even do this. Because I had gone to Atlanta on an All-American trip and seen African-American doctors, lawyers, chief of police, mayors. I had never seen that before coming from Florida. And it blew my mind that African-American people had these type of statuses, living in these type of homes, and were well respected.
By the way, so you grew up in Fort Myers, Florida.
Yes,
okay.
I wanted to be in Atlanta.
Yep.
So going to Atlanta is where I wanted to be. My biggest criticism and the most painful things that I endured came from a brother.
That's right.
That's what hurt me the most. I expected when I picked up the newspaper and read something idiotic for it to come from someone else. But when it came from the pen of a brother that I would have thought, that would have understood, the reason I was adorning myself with all these chains was because every dope dealer had credibility and respect at the crib. This is what they were embodying. All the kids looked up to them. So I was wearing this saying, you don't have to sell no dope. You can keep it 100 and do it my way and get out of the same struggle. I was even attacked nationally by Spike Lee, and I took offense. Because instead of him shooting a bullet at me on the cover of Sports Illustrated, call me. Because there's always a method to my madness. I'm always delivering some type of message, although it may be confusing. But call me. Don't take a shot at me national.
What was his specific criticism?
Look at this fool or something on the cover of Sports Illustrated with all, you know.
Well, you bring that up because doing what you do, Skip, sitting across from you every day, what's the number one thing you and I complain about when we talk about black athletes that may have a problem with us? It's two things, actually. Number one, that the rules that are applicable to the industry, they want you to forget because it applies to you. They want you to compromise yourself, not all, not most, but far too many. They want you to compromise yourself, your job description, to appease them because you're a brother. So, Dion, Prime Time, myself, we're sitting there saying, well, wait a minute here. Fair is fair. And not only that, it's not about telling you just what's going on. It's about letting you recognize and illuminating the game for you to understand that there's a level of capitulation and, decorum and everything else and conformity that you have to apply to yourself just like anybody else would. That's point number one. Point number two, and more importantly, one of the things that I consistently say to you, Skip, which is why I don't give a damn who it is, what professional athlete it is, why I'm merciless in this. There ain't a locker room in the sport of the National Basketball Association or the National Football League where somebody in there don't have my number. I make sure that accessibility is there, because if you really, really want to talk to me, I'm not hard to find. But you run and you hide. Then you look on television, you see Prime, you see me. You got a problem with what we had to say, but you made no effort. A matter of fact, you listen to somebody else, by the way, usually who doesn't look like us, who's influencing you, that you don't want to reach out to us and make sure that you get your perspective put out there. But then when we put the perspective out there, you'll literally attack. So when Spike Lee offended him, what did Dion just say? Call me, because you have access to reach me before you said what you said. Whereas today's athlete runs and hides.
I don't know how many times he's called me and said, Prime, do you have such and such number? I need to reach out to him. And he's done it. And I've given him the number. If he's given me a number, we call him.
Okay, just briefly, did you resolve with Spike after that?
No.
Okay. Got it.
No. And I'm glad I matured. Because it would have ended in another way, because I was ignorant back then. I really was ignorant back then. I wasn't playing no games back then. So
we all grow.
Yeah, we all grow, thank God.
Yes.
Yeah.
Every day.
But that bothers us the most, Skip. That really does. It bothers us the most.
They hide and they blame, and it's really, really a problem in our community, because you sit there and you look at guys like myself, him, others. We give you access before we say a word, and others encourage you to hide. But then after you hide, you got a problem with what's said.
And it's not a racial thing. I've reached out to Johnny Manziel.
So have I.
Call me. I need Johnny's number.
And so have I.
Perfect. You teed it up for me, because we're going to get into that right when we come back after the break. You talk about a gorgeous mosaic. That's what our crowd is, and we appreciate all of you. We want to take a moment to thank those behind the scenes who made these road shows possible. Much goes into the preparation of the show, and we have a fantastic crew. We mean this from the bottom of our heart, that helped to put it all together. So thank you to everyone who made this possible for us. time. Deion Sanders in the house right now. And Deion, we discussed Johnny Manziel earlier. You're a father, and this is heartbreaking for me to read, but this just came in. Johnny Manziel's family very concerned for his well-being, of course. They say he has twice declined to be admitted to rehab in the last week. His father, Paul Manziel, saying this: I truly believe if they can't get him help, he won't live to see his 24th birthday. Deion, what should be next for him?
Well, it's hard to help someone that don't want to help themselves. Sometimes you got to negate the person, because when they're lying in a pool of ignorance, they don't understand direction. And sometimes the direction is for the protection. He needs to be taken, not voluntarily admitted, taken, thrown into a rehabilitation center with love and care. And he needs to understand that this is it. Johnny Manziel, without a football, is Johnny. He's an everyday Tom, Dick, and Harry, and a lot of people can't come off the pedestal of sports and life and not to be recognized and adored and just live a life of normalcy. That's not easy. When someone's coming from those walks of life, when you walk in a restaurant, you walk anywhere, and people recognize you. But to go to the point of people whispering about you and saying unkind things about you, that's where he's going. He's going to be released. I would wish to God that Jerry Jones pick him up. The reason I want that, Skip, is I know Jerry personally. I know several people that if it had not been for Jerry Jones and the infrastructure that he has, they would not be in the league. Dez Bryant probably wouldn't be in the league if it wasn't for Jerry Jones. I can recall, Stephen A., watching Alonzo Spellman on a special on one of probably this network when he had lost it in Chicago. I looked at the television and I said, Jerry, I called him, I could help that kid. Jerry flew his private jet, picked him up, brought him to Dallas. We put a team around him. We had no problems with Alonzo Spellman.
He had bipolar syndrome.
And I don't buy that.
Yep.
I just think he was just going through hell right now. I'm not with every time something go down, everybody want to call it bipolar. Right. That's not it. You're just going through stuff. We all go through stuff, but we got to get through. Most people stop in the middle. Jerry Jones can help that young man and not just use him for his talents, but help him in life. And I wish he goes to the Dallas Cowboys.
I'll take your word on that. I'm not going to use this as an opportunity to get on Jerry Jones, because this is a very serious matter, and I applaud the great things that I've heard Jerry Jones has done as a man. I truly, truly mean that. Having said all of that, I think it's important to recognize Johnny Manziel is a triple threat, and in a bad way. Alcohol, potentially something more than alcohol, and then you got the domestic violence issue. Okay, so he doesn't need to be playing in football in 2016. The other thing that I would like to add, and then I'll pass it to you, Skip, is this. There's no way around this. The fact is that domestic violence is a big, big deal. But the biggest deal, just as big as that, that incident he got into with his girlfriend one time, he had admitted he was drinking, and he was behind the wheel of a car.
Yep.
What are we going to wait for him to harm somebody else? One, and the girl is domestic violence. But you know what? Drunk driving, that's a big deal in our country.
It is.
A lot of people have lost their lives due to that.
Yeah.
I've had family members who've done so.
By the way, for Deion, I just read an ESPN.com report that the Cowboys reportedly had all but closed the door on Johnny at the end of the season. This is before all the latest incidents. I'm with you. I know Jerry very, very well. And if any owner could save this kid, and he's still a kid to me, Jerry could save him. I've spoken to two people very close to Johnny who have discussed the potential, what they call intervention, where they go and just, as you say, drag him to rehab. They say they can't reach him literally or figuratively anymore, where they literally can't get him to return phone calls, so they can't reach him or reach his mind anymore.
I can get him reached.
Okay, well, somebody needs to.
Yeah, we could reach him.
As his father said, he's on the highway to hell right now.
But when a father says that, it's real.
Yep.
Because I know we talk about a mother's love, but the father's protection and love is undeniable.
And by the way, let's take a moment to commend his father. That's his son. That is his son. The man has money. The man has affluence, and is saying, will y'all please help me, because I don't think my son's going to make it. That's a big thing for a father to do.
Wow. Praying for you, Johnny.
So am I.
Going down there 2 days. Levi Stadium, Santa Clara. We cannot wait. Cam Newton versus Peyton Manning. Our crowd's hype. Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being with us. You make it so special. And so are we. Skip, you need to thank some people, too.
I want to thank this man, Deion Sanders, for joining us and sharing his heart and his mind.
Love you guys, man.
So many important topics that we discussed today. We appreciate that.
I respect you guys dearly. This truly, I'm not lying.
Yep.
When I work out every morning, I watch the show, and time flies by because you guys are so compelling. I appreciate it. You too, sweetie.
Thank you. You know how much love I have for you.
I don't really have much to add to that.
Okay. So
I know he's the man.
Quickly explain your game pick. It looked like 50-50 on the fence.
I'm on the fence right now because it's still early. I usually make my pick Sundays. It's still early. One of these quarterbacks will fall flat on their face. We would love to have the storybook ending with Peyton Manning, and he rides off into the sunset. We would love that. We would love for Cam Newton to prove to the world that he's the MVP. Sure. Somebody's going to have a ending that's so detrimental. It's so compelling. It's so tragic.
You're not sure which one.
We're going to say, I can't believe he played like this.
All right. Thank you all so much for having us. Super Bowl 50, you guys have been fantastic. We can't wait for the game. We will see you Monday from Bristol. Enjoy.
Duke, Louisville.
This is a big-time game, and there's big-time talent on the floor.
An ACC showdown on Big Monday.
Three from the top is good.
Coverage begins at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN and on ESPN Radio.